Welcome to this special edition of The Wrestling Source, the exclusive YouTube show of WrestlingNewsSource.com. My name's David, and we're here to discuss bragging rights, last night's WWE pay-per-view from the Target Center in Minnesota. Pay-per-view was highlighted by three big matches: a World Championship match between Kane and The Undertaker, a WWE Championship match between Wade Barrett and Randy Orton, and the bragging rights Team Smackdown versus Team Raw match. Let's get underway. The opening match at last night's pay-per-view was a title versus title encounter featuring Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler taking on WWE US Champion Daniel Bryan. It's clear from the crowd reactions that Minnesota is still a real old-school wrestling fan-type crowd, being brought up by AWA superstars like Vern Gagne and the Hennings. A lot of "this is awesome" chants, Daniel Bryan chants, fans really looking forward to seeing an old-school wrestling contest, and these two gentlemen didn't disappoint. Match started out really strong with a traditional heel versus face encounter, with Ziggler playing the role of the heel and Bryan playing the role of the face. Interesting spot toward the beginning of the match where both men ended up outside, with Vicky Guerrero getting involved, and as Daniel Bryan feigned his way getting back into the ring, he actually hopped over her to deliver a knee lift to the face of Dolph Ziggler, who was still out on the floor. As both men ended up back in the ring, it was again a traditional mat wrestling contest, but both men started to look winded toward the middle of the match, especially so Dolph, and Daniel Bryan really just didn't know how to accommodate that. I think he got too used to these quick TV, weekly TV-based matches where he didn't have to go the 15 minutes that he went with Ziggler. Started resorting to just a series of kicks and power moves, while Dolph reserved that old-school technical mat wrestling for the remainder of the match. A lot of counter-for-counter moves. A lot of miscommunication that led to both men being laid out for a while, that allowed rest without rest spots. Really built the drama in the match. Wasn't impressed with the ending though, which Dolph clearly called, roughing up Daniel, smacking him on the head and jaw-jacking him, telling him that he didn't deserve to be in the same ring, didn't deserve to compete with him, which just led to Bryan reaching up and landing the label lock for the submission at about the 15-minute mark. This really could have been a 3.5, almost 4-star match out of 5, but with the shoddy ending and Daniel Bryan resorting to just a series of kicks as his main offense, I think I can really only give it 3 stars out of 5 for this opening encounter for this year's Bragging Rights pay-per-view. Second match of the evening was a sort of semi-impromptu contest between the champions, Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes, who came to the ring first to do their pompous heel shtick, talk about how they've beaten everybody of value and there's nobody left in the WWE that could really give them a run for their money, which prompted a interruption from the general manager, read by Michael Cole, of course, and he quoted, there was a group that he saw as worthy enough to face them, which of course brought out Wade Barrett from the Nexus, who put his own team together, the team of David Otunga and, to the shock of no one, John Cena. John Cena came out and ran right to the ring. Otunga met him there and insisted on starting the match. There were quick tags between Rhodes and McIntyre. They really tried to make this look like a real tag team contest, a lot of counter to counter. Then John Cena came in and attempted to prove a point that he was going to do this all by himself and not have to tag in Otunga even when he got in trouble. Miscommunication spot led to Cena landing the STF on Rhodes, who tapped out. And it wasn't until that point that he realized what he had done, and we had new tag team champions in David Otunga and John Cena. Otunga was first to run in and grab both belts and hoist them over his head. Cena laid him out, dropped him to the mat, and then proceeded to hoist the belts over his head himself. This was a match that really belonged on Raw. It did a little more than service an angle. Not a lot of wrestling. It was really more of a brawl and John Cena making a point. I can really only give it 1.5 stars, and most of that is for crowd reaction. Next match of the evening featured Ted DiBiase and Maurice versus Goldust and Oksana. Ted and Goldust started out strong, and in fact, Goldust even won a "Let's Go Goldust" chant from the crowd. But Dustin just couldn't keep up the momentum. I mean, the match turned into spot rest, with Dustin really looking winded. I don't think he could keep up with the younger DiBiase. And again, this was another case where all the match really did was further the angle between the two wrestlers. We saw the valets get involved at the end, with Oksana swiping the title back from Maurice, getting all flirty with Ted, who seemed to like it, which only opened up the opportunity for Goldust to jump in, deliver the final cut, and leave with Oksana and the belt again. This was a Superstars level match that, again, didn't really service the pay-per-view as much as it did service the angle. Again, 1 star, and it's really might be time for Goldust to think about hanging it up. Next match was for the Divas champion, with co-champions Layla hitting the ring to face Natalya. This time it was going to be Layla in the ring to defend the title, and this was a typical over-choreographed, spotty Divas match. The less said, the better. Highlight of the match for me was Matt Striker's comment that Layla's commentary in the beginning was Shockmaster bad, and the match didn't get much better. Again, typical over-choreographed, spotty nonsense. Crowd really popped for 2 things. A weird, pervy moment where the 2 competitors were entwined in some kind of suggestive pose, and Natalya's attempt at a sharpshooter. Leave it to the Minnesota wrestling fans to pop for a classic move like that. Half a star for an unfortunate Divas match. We need to do something with the Divas division in the WWE. Next up was the Buried Alive contest for the World Heavyweight Championship between The Undertaker and the champion Kane with Paul Bearer. Full disclosure, I don't like this gimmick match. I think it's counterintuitive, and I think it's a little hokey. And this match basically proved that point. Requires way too much suspension of disbelief on the part of the fans, not just for the ending, but for the overall match. When the point is to drag your opponent to a point in the arena and throw him into a hole, I don't get it. It went into the crowd twice for no good reason at all, for a kick and punch fest that could have happened back in the ring. We saw some chair shots from Kane. We saw Kane deliver 2 choke slams to The Undertaker, which let him carry his brother out of the ring and to the dirt pile. The crowd was wicked old school for this match. Chants of "We want blood." At the dirt pile, they were hysterical, cheering for The Undertaker's punches to Kane and booing for Kane's punches to The Undertaker. In a really schmozzy overbook finish, Nexus came out to help Kane put the Taker in the hole, and then Kane did his magical make the fire shoot motion to have the front loader dump a pile of dirt onto the Undertaker, and so Kane was your winner. And at the end of the match, we got spooky lighting over the headstone at the Buried Alive site, and then Taker's old Taker fiction symbol, the T with the crust spikes in the background. Even the announcers didn't seem like they knew what to say. This is, again, a 1/2 star hokey gimmick match that the purpose of which was to forward the storyline for what has to be Taker's 20th anniversary resurrection at Survivor Series next month. Next up, the bragging rights match with Team Smackdown taking on Team Raw and defending their bragging rights trophy. This is going to be a really tough match to rate, about as tough as it's going to be to analyze. It was almost 28 or 29 minutes long. The first 10 minutes of the match were really kind of quiet and kind of clumsy, but I guess that's to be expected with a 7-on-7 situation going on and the communication that has to go on to keep everything straight. Santino was the first elimination, no surprises there. As the match progressed, it actually got better. The middle 10 minutes of the match were really hot. We saw some angle development with Del Rio attacking Rey Mysterio to forward that angle more. We saw Big Show get involved as captain and really play that role, telling Del Rio to focus. We saw Big Show get himself eliminated in a double countout, which really frustrated him. He had to get sent back to the back, and he realized the mistake he made. Great psychology on the part of the SmackDown team. Also great mat work on the part of the SmackDown team, and great psychology at the end, where Ray and Edge were the last 2 superstars remaining after some angle development with Ray being sent to the back because of the injury that he supposedly had, with Del Rio getting involved. It really came down to a tight finish that saw Team SmackDown win for the 2nd year in a row. With Miz being the last member of Team Raw eliminated. I'm sure he's really happy about that, being the captain of the team. and with Edge and Rey Mysterio being the final SmackDown competitors, the final SmackDown survivors. Again, it was a match that really, really got better as it progressed. The beginning of it was really only about 1 star. It got up to about 2 stars for that middle 10 minutes, and the last 10 minutes of that match was really a 2.5, almost 3-star encounter. I want to give the match overall 2.5 stars for the great storytelling, the great mat work, the great psychology both within the teams and with the teams facing each other. It's really a great idea for a match between the two sides and between the two brands. And this match again this year didn't disappoint. Team SmackDown the victors once again for the 2nd year in a row. Our final match of the evening was the WWE Championship contest between Wade Barrett and champion Randy Orton. Wade Barrett made it very clear to John Cena that he was to win this match tonight or Cena was fired. I thought that was going to lead to Cena somehow helping Barrett actually win the title and The Miz coming down and cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase finally. Turns out they went a different direction. At one point, the Nexus did run in after a ref bump, and Cena cleared the ring. And when Barrett questioned him on it, Cena was gold from an angle perspective. He said, look, you want to win the match. If you get disqualified, you lose. And then Cena's fired. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. The ending was a little abrupt for my liking. Once the ref did come back too, Cena charged the ring and laid out Barrett, which did give him the win as it got Randy Orton disqualified. Orton then celebrated in the ring, laying out both Barrett and Cena. It was a quick match, not much on the wrestling front. It was a typical pendulum-type match with Barrett taking control, then Orton taking control, then the ref bump that led to the very overbooked finish. Gonna give this one a 1.5 stars. You know what? No, I'm gonna give it 2 stars because the angle advancement really did go well. I like what it's setting up for future runs between Barrett and the Nexus and Cena. It does do well for that angle. It is a major angle, and you really do want to forward major angles at pay-per-views. So 2 stars overall for this match, for a great match to end the card with. Once again, as always on the Wrestling Source, it's your turn. We want to know what you thought of bragging rights. Do you think I overrated any matches? Do you think I underrated every matches? Let us know. Leave your comments here on the YouTube screen, or find us online at WrestlingNewsSource.com, on Twitter at WrestlingNewsHQ, or on Facebook at Wrestling News. Let us know your thoughts on this pay-per-view and every current event in professional wrestling. Once again, this was a special edition of The Wrestling Source, the exclusive YouTube show of WrestlingNewsSource.com. My name's David, and we'll see you on Friday for our regularly scheduled show.